All right, let's switch real quick over to the Pirates before we go to the phone lines. And yeah, yesterday, pretty much what I think a lot of people expected. Hill goes to another team, that's San Diego, his 13th, along with Choi. And then you had Hedges going. I thought the surprising one to me was Rodolfo Castro, how quickly they soured on him. He's not an old guy, and yet he was prominent to start this season. And they got a guy who has a horrendous record. Not that that really matters, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. Were you surprised by any of that? To me, I was more encouraged that they didn't trade the two guys who we thought might go in that Bednar and Keller.
Well, I'll tell you this about Bednar and Keller to start with that. I think the fact that they didn't trade them and some of Ben Cherington's comments today, and the fact that we know John Parado reported, of course, local baseball scribe, that Bob Nutting has privately told people, he hasn't really said it on the record publicly, but that privately he's told people he's close with that he thinks they can contend next year. I think Ben Cherington understands that. And if the owner thinks they can contend, whether Cherington thinks it's realistic or not, he's got to start acting like it, and that means keeping Bednar, keeping Keller, even if a great offer was made, unless it was a knock me over, it can't pass this up offer, which clearly didn't come. As for the Rodolfo Castro trade, here's the problem. The guy's a switch hitter, and unlike most switch hitters who are better from the left side, he can't hit lefty. He's a switch hitter who should stop hitting from one side of the plate. He doesn't seem intent on doing that. As a righty, we have no idea what he would look like against right-handed pitching. They clearly just didn't feel like there was enough there from the right side of the plate to justify it. What I do think is sort of interesting is that this Falter that they got from the Phillies, very, you hope it's not nominative determinism
it's
here.
Like Chris Blewett.
Yeah, with him. Yeah, like a lawyer named, what would be, disbarred, or a guy named Criminal who's on trial. Yeah. You'd hope Falter, though, he's a left-handed, soft-toss, deception kind of guy. He was playing in a bandbox in Philly. You would hope here that the cavernous left field turns some doubles and home runs in the other park into flyouts. And I will say his career splits suggest he is a much better pitcher away from Philadelphia. That would kind of track. So I think they're taking sort of a shot in the dark on him. They seem to really like him and have had their eye on him. Cherington said he's asked Philly for him multiple times. They better get that one right, because I think a lot of people here saw Castro's power from the right side and saw real potential there.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and I wish he would just forget about the left side, and he didn't seem to do that here. Let's go to Thomas in the north side on the Bordas and Bordas hotline. Hey, Thomas.
How you doing, guys?
What's up?
How come they haven't called up Miguel Andujar, the first baseman? We need a first baseman with RBI power, and the guy's tearing it up down there.
Yeah, I hear that, and we've talked about this before, and quite frankly, I am a little surprised given the fact that Connor Joe goes out there every single day now, seems like, or at least most of the time. They need someone else to do it. If they're going to maybe potentially use Hank Davis there, or if they're going to put Endy Rodriguez or try a combination, then they should do it. If not, Chris, what's the downside? I know he's been up here and he hasn't done well when he's come here, but he's ripped the ball apart down there in AAA.
I actually don't really want to see him. I want to see the Pirates do what you just said with a guy like Endy. If they're are they going to put Henry Davis at catcher? If you're going to do it, and I don't think they will, for the record, I think that they quietly, actions speak louder than words. They keep saying they're going to do it, but they don't do it. That tells me they don't think he can play catcher, and they just don't want to admit it to themselves or the public. But if I'm wrong there, put him at catcher, put Endy at first, figure out what you got. Miguel Andujar, like him having 72 RBIs or whatever in AAA, who cares? I think he has proven already that he is a 4A player. He rips it up in AAA, and then he doesn't hit at the big league level. The entirety of baseball history is filled with Miguel Andujars, guys who can do it at the second highest level and cannot perform when the lights are on in the big show. That seems very obvious to me that that's the player he is at this point.
Yeah, but at this point, again, unless they show me they're going to put those other kids out there, I don't want to see Connor Joe, do you? I have no use for Connor Joe moving forward.
I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make this the anti-Connor Joe parade, but yeah, he doesn't really
seem to fit. Not as an everyday player.
No, he's a utility. Well, he's a utility guy, and they've got to separate the wheat from the chaff there. Do you think Andujar is anything more than a utility player or a guy that comes up if he has to from the minors? Because I really don't.
I just think he has a hot bat, and they need some offense, and why not? He's in the system. He's been, reward him, see what happens, and if it doesn't work, then you know for sure it's dead. But I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Because I think Connor Joe, I saw a couple of plays defensively that I knew would happen once he went there. You went from Santana to him. They better use somebody else at first base, and I'm going to be anxious to see how they do it. And I do think
They're going to use this. They're going to use this guy they just traded for from the Padres, I suspect. I think because he's a very good Rivas. He's a very good defender. He doesn't have much in the way of a bat. Although, if you'd like an interesting footnote on him, 4 career home runs. He spent his first 2 years with the Cubs, 29 career RBI. You want to know something? 2 of those homers and 10 of those RBI came in a 2-game span against the Pirates. The 21-0 loss to the Cubs last year and the 14-5 loss. He had a homer and 5 knocked in each game. Wonder if that got on the Pirates' radar.
Could have. Real quick before we go to break, what do you think the Padres are up to? I mean, they just, I don't know what kind of mix of players they have, and they have big-time names, big-time salaries, and here they are struggling under 500, and yet they buy at the deadline. Not that they bought a lot, but they bought.
I like it. Their owner has made a clear commitment saying they sell that place out more often than not. The owner has said, I don't care that I'm in a small market. I don't care that our TV deal is now back to local over-the-air TV. I'm going to spend. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to bring in big names. And I like the fact that their GM and the owner decided we're not going to kick the can in here yet. We've got, 60 games or thereabouts to try to make up a couple of game deficit in the wild card. If I'm a Padres fan, I love it because I'd have every reason to believe that after all these expenditures, they'd sell off some assets. Wrong. If I'm a San Diego fan, even if it doesn't work, I say, wow, my owner genuinely wants to win. This is great.
All right, we got to go for a break. Yeah, I mean, I applaud that, but I look at their team and I think it's a mess right now in many areas, and that's what I wonder about what they're doing because, and not that they gave up a ton of good prospects, but they did over time. A guy like Bednar, they probably could use, even though they have Hader over there, but. They've made some moves to get Musgrove. I get it. I look at their team and I expected more. It seems to me that they're just not going to put it together at any time of the season. I don't know why I think that because they have a very talented roster, but it's just not working.
Would you rather watch Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado try to get it together, or door number 2?
Door number 1.
That's the real question here.
No, I would. I get it, but I just with all that money they're spending there. I would have expected better results, and I know that if you get in somehow, then things can change. We're going to go to break on that note. Come back with more calls at 412-575-2600. This is the Nightly Sports Call. It's presented to you by Ireland Contracting.